Welcome. You are in tune to We Are DC4L here at the Cowboys Global Podcast. Man, look, on the FFSN network, we're going to talk about some more Cowboy talk. I'm excited, man, of course, to bring this podcast to you. Of course, I got my co-host, Tom. What's up, Tom? How you doing, man?
Doing good. How you doing?
Man, I am elated. I'm excited. Make sure you guys just do a little house cleaning. Make sure you like and subscribe. Everywhere you're hearing this podcast, make sure that you like and share and put it all around. Put it on Twitter. Man, make sure that you any Cowboy fan that you know get a chance to hear some of this talk. Man, we're going to get it in. Today we're talking about the defensive unit as a whole. As we're looking at it right now, you know, the owners are in Arizona. Jerry's been doing some slick talking. I love how, you know, when Jerry gets the slick talking, man. I mean,
he doesn't
stop. He got that slick tongue. He's ready. And, you know, they'd all but kind of told us where they're going on pick 26. But we're going to really get in and dive into that some more. But, hey, Tom, man, as we talk about the defense as a whole, man, what is one of the things that you think well, first of all, let's get into the stats. Dallas was fifth in defense in scoring at 20.1 per game. We gave up 129 yards rushing per game, which I think that's way too much. You know, I would rather see that on the 80 side, around 80, 85 yards per game.
Yeah, most teams would.
Yeah, and then definitely 200 yards a game passing, which I think is excellent. You're holding the quarterback to 200 yards a game. I mean, literally, if you think about it, you combine those stats, that's 329 yards a game, and you're holding a professional football team to that. Your defense is pretty good, man.
I mean, so when I look at the Cowboys defense, there's a couple things I see. They're pretty average against the run, right? They are elite against the pass, and that's both because they are extremely good in coverage and they're extremely good at getting to the quarterback quickly. And then if they do bend, they don't break. They're one of the better teams in the league in red zone defense. I think teams score a touchdown half the time they get in the red zone or something like that. Which, if you know this defense and you know these safeties in particular, you know, they want to play as close to the line of scrimmage as possible. That kind of plays into their strength. So that's what I see when I look at this defense. A defense that's elite against the pass and pretty average against the run.
Yeah, that's one thing that we'll get to that question because I was about to spoil it nasty. Dallas is 17. We gave in our point differential, it was plus 10, right? We gave up 16. Well, we took away 16 interceptions and 17 fumbles. So we had 16 interceptions, 17 fumbles. Man, that's a lot of turnovers that we took away from teams and chances for them to have the ball. I mean, I could think of that Chicago turnover, which was just wow. The game was going a different way until, you know, we got that turnover and Micah took it back for a touchdown. So Tom, what do you think it is that we could do better? We kind of hit on it. So talk to me. What do you think that we could do better defensively moving into this season?
I have a hard time believing that we can be any better than what we were last season against the pass. So I think the obvious answer is we need to be better against the run. And specifically, that's going to happen at the defensive tackle and the linebacker spots. I mean, I think most Cowboy fans are going to be able to tell you that that's the weakness of this defense. That's the reason why, you know, the priority seems to be bringing Hankins back or getting some other guy through trade or free agency or drafting a defensive tackle. You know, that seems to be one of the top priorities with this team, and reason being, not so great against the run.
Right. You know, I mean, you think about, dog, we had John Ridgeway. We drafted that guy. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't do nothing but just go over there to Washington and look really, really good against the run. Yeah. It's like sad, but we had so many bodies inside, but we just weren't. I don't know what it was. Maybe So I had a conversation with a guy today, and they were saying, well, LVE doesn't play downhill because of his neck, and he
Right.
stopped coming hard against it. But I said, you got to think about this. LVE didn't have anybody to keep offensive linemen off of him, right? If you keep your linebackers clean, they'll make plays. You know what I'm saying? And he's so long. He's definitely a good tackler. If he catches you, he's gonna tackle you. And Damone Clark, he's one of those guys that I believe in. So to me, when I look at this defense, I'm with you. It all starts and ends with the defensive tackle. And Jerry today was saying, things look real favorable on this signing of go ahead and sign Hankins. And I like it. I mean, I like hearing that kind of talk. He's saying it looks favorable. They'll get it done. Watkins too. He was like, he likes them in that room. I like him in that room too, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's something that you said last week, man. We got a lot of draft picks. We do. We got a lot of things that we could kind of use as bait. And it looks like Tennessee is cutting bait with Jeffrey Simmons. He legit. If we could get Simmons from Tennessee, right? I mean, it would cost us a little something. What would you give up? I'm gonna ask you. What would you give up for a player like Jeffrey Simmons?
Well, you're only going to get him for a year, right? It's the 5th year, right? So Tennessee exercise. I'm throwing my pen around here. Tennessee exercises 5th year, and I think it's like 10 or 11 million, something like that. Yeah. And Simmons for 10 million, even for a year. I mean, he's gonna make way more than that on his next contract. I mean, he's gonna make Aaron Donald money, like essentially, or in that ballpark. So, a 3rd rounder. I don't. I mean, I know it might sound crazy to say this guy's going to be, this guy's maybe, I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald, but like he's kind of he's in his orbit, at least, he's one of the best 5 defensive tackles in the league. He's amazing in the pass rush. He's super great, against the run. Like he is your 3-down defensive tackle, can get to the quarterback on 3rd down, can stop the run on first 2. He's nasty. He's mean. He's big, 6'4", 305, something like that. I mean, he is that guy. He's in there 3 downs. You're not taking him out. And it might sound crazy to sit here and describe this guy and say, I'd give a 3rd rounder for him. But it's just that is an all-in move. Like if you're giving up a 1st rounder for that guy, because you're not expecting. I can't imagine that the Cowboys, if they were to make that trade, that they're expecting to be able to extend him, because we got CD, we got Micah, we got Dak, we got Trayvon Diggs. Like we got multiple guys that are expecting to get paid soon, at a level, that's elite at their position. Right. Correct. And so just bring in some defensive tackle and say, hey, here's 5 years, $100 million.
That's why you don't trade a number 1 for him. Right.
That's why you don't trade a number 1, because you're trading number 1 to probably get a guy for a year. Now, if they do that, I'm not, sitting here in the peanut gallery saying this is a terrible decision. It's just we are all in. We are trying to win the Super Bowl this year. Well, I mean, obviously they're trying to win the Super Bowl this year, but while we may not be mortgaging the entire future in order to do it, we're giving a 1st round pick to do that, to rent basically for a 1-year rental on this really great defensive tackle. So it's kind of, would I do it? No. I'd give up a 3rd rounder in a heartbeat. And I'd think for, a second about giving up a 2nd, and I'd probably do that. You'd probably have to pry a 1st rounder from
out of
you
my
could probably
hand.
do it. You could probably do it.
You'd have to kind of keep ripping, because to be honest with you, man, for real, I agree with the 3rd rounder, and that's a Jerry type move. If Jerry's gonna do it, it ain't gonna be for more than the 3rd round. He will not. I don't think, because the way that the Cowboys are building this team is slow and methodical, and they're doing it through the draft. Yeah. They're adding pieces, and they're putting things together so that way they're not mortgaging the farm, right? Yeah. They understand hey, I'm going to have to pay CD Lamb. I'm going to have to pay Trayvon Diggs. I'm going to have to pay Michael Parsons like they weigh. I'm going to have to extend that. It's going to happen, right?
And they're all getting paid. All four of those guys, they're getting paid.
Not everybody, but everybody. Everybody getting a check. You know
those saying? 4 guys that we listed, they're all getting paid by the Cowboys. Unless they just, I mean, it's not, there are no guarantees, but I mean, we're 99% sure on all 4 of them. Jerry is not letting any one of those 4 walk.
I don't think so either. You know what I'm saying? I think, the I Get Money 50 Cent song is playing when it's daytime. I get money. I'm just saying it's that time and that kind of thing going on when it's their time. But I say this to say that a 3rd rounder for a 1-year rental is good. I'll take it. And that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I mean, I would probably be a terrible GM because I would always be trying to, like, I want to walk away from every deal feeling like I got the guy that I want for the price that I wanted him at. Does that make sense? Yeah. And like, you got to be willing. There's got to be give and take in these negotiations. Sometimes you got to be willing to maybe pay a little more than it's worth, more than a player's worth. And you hear about teams not really wanting to deal with these GMs sometimes that want to make sure that they're winning every deal 10 times over. But I probably wouldn't be very good to deal with.
Tennessee wants to get rid of it for draft equity.
Are we even sure about? I love talking about this kind of stuff because I love imagining this guy in a Cowboy uniform, right? I mean, like, that transforms an already elite defense into a monstrosity. But are we sure that there's really smoke here?
There's smoke. Now, I'm not gonna say we're absolutely gonna get this guy. I don't even know if we're gonna go after him because Jerry said this too. He definitely said, he made a clip saying that we're gonna stay within our means. Basically, he was like, we're not gonna shop outside our paycheck. Basically, I get it. I understand. He was like, we're going after guys that we can get and stay within ourselves and stay within our budget. I get it. I understand. I'm not tripping at all, but I'm just saying, if it's an opportunity, I'll take him for that 10 mil and we'll be good. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, the big place where the Cowboys can make a jump this year is defensive tackle, man. I mean, if that defense has a solid defensive tackle that keeps the linebackers free, keeps the safeties crashing, and the other linebackers can scrape to the ball. Oh my God. I mean, this is a defense that already gang tackles well. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it. The defensive ends, we're stacked, man. I mean, we got Tank, we got Dorrance Armstrong, we got Sam Williams. We have my guy who just signed again. What's his name? Help me.
Guy who just signed again. I don't.
Did we just sign Dante Fowler? Fowler, of course. Signed again, right?
Yep.
So we got ends to burn. We have ends to burn, right? We're still looking to try to sign Watkins, and we're looking to sign Hankins. Those are the 2 guys. We got Neville Gallimore still there. We got Osa still there, right? I mean, we got talent there. You know what I mean?
Neville's still there for now.
Neville's still there for now. Yeah, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's some depth there.
We need a little more depth at defensive tackle. And you mentioned linebacker, right? The whole Cowboys world is going crazy, man. They're going crazy over the fact that we didn't sign Bobby Wagner. We signed LVE for 7, and Bobby went for 9, just 2 more million. Bobby went for 1 year. We got LVE for 2. You know what I'm saying? I mean, here's the thing. I like Bobby Wagner. Not saying nothing about his talent. I heard rumors that his knees is going. I mean, but last year he was PFF graded number 1. I mean, middle linebacker. So, I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, it's value there. It really is. But, signing for, I just don't know. I mean, if once you sign, I felt like that the domino dropped when we signed LVE and we weren't going to get Bobby Wagner, right? I felt like that's what that was. I couldn't see us signing LVE and then him going to the bench for Bobby Wagner. I mean, so Cowboy Nation, chill out. It's okay. We can't get everybody. We can't stack every team like LeBron. We just can't do that. We can't stack everybody on one team.
I agree. I would say, I would add to that and say, even if, like, let's say we hadn't, let's say we didn't re-sign LVE and we're still in the market for a middle linebacker, or we had signed him on the cheap, I don't know, 1 year, $3 million, something like that. I still think that there is a good chance. I mean, how do we know that this isn't just Bobby wanting to go to Seattle? Do you know? It's like I'll often see, fans. It's like, there's a guy that we all want. He goes to another team. We get mad at the front office for not getting that guy. And it's like, we realize that the player has a choice in the matter, right? Like Bobby Wagner, ultimately it's his decision. So while I think I agree with you, I think that the Cowboys weren't really in on him. I'm guessing that Seattle probably offered him the most money. And that there may be something going on with his knees or some other, mystery injury that, league offices know about and we don't really. I think that your reasoning is kind of enough. I think we already had LVE. We're already set. I don't think it's the Cowboys. If they didn't really pursue him, Bobby Wagner, aggressively, I don't think that's the Cowboys saying, we think LVE is better than Bobby Wagner. I think that it could be the Cowboys, kind of like you're saying, well, we're already paying a middle linebacker $6 million this year, and we're just gonna. So that sort of means it doesn't really make as much sense anymore to go after another one and pay him $7 million, so your $6 million linebacker can, just sit on the bench. So I agree with your logic. Just also adding to it that it's Bobby's decision. Maybe he just wanted to go to Seattle. Makes all the sense in the world.
Oh, absolutely, and he's a Dan guy. So I'm sure if Dan really wanted him, Dan would have got him. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. Dan and Mike they got a wish list. Don't think that they don't. they have a shopping list and a Santa list that they done presented to Jerry, because Jerry's Santa Claus, and they like, look, this is who we want. Let's go get this guy. And I'm serious. I don't really feel as if, if he was really, I'm like you, if we were really all in, we would have got it. We definitely would have got him. But I do feel like our areas of improvement on this defense is gonna have to be linebacking and defensive tackle. So we're gonna have to address those two places in the draft, right? I know that. Look up the guy's name for Washington for me. I do know that the linebacker in this draft. I do know that the Cowboys will be getting a linebacker. Overshown was one of the first linebackers that they were looking at. DeMarvion Overshown from Texas. He had came in for a visit last Friday at the Star. I think his last name is Henley.
Drew Henley.
Yeah, Drew Henley is another linebacker that they were looking at. Everybody's talking about Jack Campbell from Iowa. I like Jack Campbell. I like him. He's big. He's 6'5". You know what I'm saying? He could play that Tampa too. And Thomas is always talking about LVE's ability to play the Tampa too. And Jack is that type of dude. He's a lot faster than you think he is too. You know what I mean? He can move in space, and him being that long, I think he'd be perfect for the system. If we can catch him in the third round, that's my guy. I'd scoop him up in a heartbeat. Even over Overshown, because of the simple fact that we do have Damone Clark, right? And Damone Clark can stay at that outside linebacker position. He's fast enough to do that, right? Now we're thin after that. We got Jabril. There's another linebacker that's over there that we drafted from Oklahoma State. He's there. So I mean, we're still thin at linebacking, and you want to have at least, because we lost a linebacker this year. I got to think of his name.
Gifford.
Say it again.
Luke Gifford.
We lost Gifford.
And he was pretty much just exclusively a special teams guy at this point. I don't think he was getting snaps on defense, but
so we gotta have at least, I'd say, another two linebackers. So I wouldn't even be surprised if we drafted two. Wouldn't be surprised at all. You know, but if there's anybody that I'm looking at, you know, in the two names that pop out here to me is my guy Kalijah Clancy, that's his name, from Pittsburgh, and Ika from Baylor. Those are two guys that pop out. I mean, listen, I know Dan Quinn was really looking hard at Young from Alabama. You're not too high on Young, but Dan Quinn was there on their pro day looking at Young, and maybe, hey, look, we just need space invaders. We need people who can take up space in there, man.
That's right.
Really, that's all I'm saying. Just get somebody who can take up space.
Yep.
Clancy may be small, but he looks like the second coming of Aaron Donald. What do you think? Who would you be looking at those two positions, linebacker and defensive tackle?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on Kalijah Clancy. And it's to me, it's very difficult. It's really difficult to draft defensive tackles. I'm not saying it's difficult to talk yourself into the need to draft one, but it's really difficult to identify the ones that are going to be good and the ones that aren't. Obviously, the earlier you draft one, the easier it is. But we've just seen so many. There's so many guys that, I mean, there are Aaron Donalds, guys that, I mean, it's not like he was a top 5 pick or anything like that. But there are guys that, come in the first round and, they turn into stars. But for every one of those guys, it seems like there's some other guy that was drafted in the 6th round, drafted in the 4th round, something like that, and he becomes an all-pro. I mean, there's guys like that at the defensive tackle spot. They're just scattered across the league. So I like Clancy. I'm not I don't trust my scouting abilities when it comes to defensive tackles, just because there are so many guys that just look like have looked in the past incredible to me on tape, and I'm just like, this is the guy. He can't miss. And then, you don't hear his name ever again. And vice versa. It's really difficult it's like, I don't like, was it Keandre Coburn? That's the defensive tackle out of Texas, right?
Max, yeah.
I mean, he's really big, but he's just really slow and plodding. And I mean, I dislike him, so he'll probably be a Pro Bowler in 2 years, I like Kalijah. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Kalijah Clancy. And I am all for, yes, go get a defensive tackle, because we need to get better against the run. And that's one of the ways that we need to do it. I do think that we need help at linebacker, but I think that we need more help at the defensive tackle spot. So as long as I don't want to reach for one, but so long as there is a guy there that we have a first round grade on at 26, get a defensive tackle. Unless, like I've said, every podcast we've done so far, unless Quentin Johnson is there, and then smash that draft button.
Quentin Johnson, Bijan Robinson, either one of those two guys are there. I don't care what you do. Draft, hit the draft music.
Oh man,
that's who we're picking. Just call it in. Just call the pick in. That's who we're taking. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anybody other than those two guys if they're available, and I mean it. But so we added Stephon Gilmore to a pass defense that was already just. Whew. I mean, we gave up 200 yards a game. That's just impressive.
Yeah, I was looking at it today, and I think regular season, talking only regular season. Out of the 17 games we played, in 10, the opposing quarterback threw for under 200 yards, and in 14, threw for under 220. So there's only three regular season games where we allowed a quarterback to throw for 220 yards or more. That's crazy good. And especially considering that we're winning games, so we're often playing, out in front. I mean, I think we won 7 or 8 games by more than one score. So a lot of these games, I mean, it's sort of, it lines up for teams to throw the ball more, for teams to, accumulate passing yards against us because we're out front. And still, I mean, 14 games under 220 yards passing. That's amazing. Yes. I mean, adding, it's an abundance of riches in terms of what the secondary is going to look like this year, adding Stephon Gilmore.
So I hear everybody talking about they're not going to try Stephon because, Stephon said he's wearing 21. And, there's a lot of people who are upset that he's grabbing that number. I think he's worthy to wear Deion's number. Everybody says it's Zeke's number. Okay. Recency, Zeke was the last person in 21. But if Zeke comes back, because there's still a possibility that Zeke could come in and be our third running back. If Zeke comes back, definitely he wants to wear 15. So if Zeke,
give him 15.
Yeah.
And I mean, as far as taking people's numbers, two things. One, Zeke isn't on the team anymore, right? And this isn't Emmitt Smith we're talking about, right? And it's a guy playing a completely different position. I like Zeke as much as anybody, and I want him to. I wish him nothing but success. But I mean, he's not on the team anymore. Who cares if Stephon wears 21?
Wow.
I mean, I don't care.
There's a lot of people out there who care, man. Come on.
Now, this is what I will. And this is what else I'll say. As far as he's playing the same position that Deion played, and so what I would say is, hey, that's your burden to bear, brother. You want to wear 21. You want that mark on your back. You want that target on your back. You do you, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the size of a safety. This guy's built. Stephon Gilmore is built. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, for that Zeke comment, please, listeners, don't throw tomatoes at us. Don't hit us with tomatoes.
You are not going to find somebody who loves Zeke more than me. But it's just come on, what are we doing? Are we going to retire 80 jerseys, 80 different numbers, and everyone's going to wear 12? What's the? Well, I guess it wouldn't be 12. It wouldn't be 12. That's kind of a big one. Everyone wear 83.
That's Roger Staubach,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I get what you're saying. He wasn't saying Zeke, who cares about Zeke? He was saying Zeke's not on the team. The number's not up for retirement, so somebody else can get it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We can't help it. This number 0 thing, man. Before we get off of this, do you like number 0? You like seeing a number 0 on the field?
I mean, I guess I'm not against it, but if it was available and I was playing, I would not take number 0. I don't know. It's just
so weird.
It does look weird. It does. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, if my first name was O, I'd be like, yeah, that's live. That's hard. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Y'all see me on the front and the back. You see me coming. Oh,
yeah. I don't get it. But I mean, if dudes, it's a number. If you, I think also at the same time, I think it's kind of silly. I don't know. Maybe there's reasoning behind it, but I think it's kind of silly for them to say, no, you can't. This is a number you can't wear. It's whatever. It's a number.
I thought number 99 was crazy. Here it is. I don't want to see a defensive tackle wearing 0, and I don't want to see
why? Why?
I don't want to see you in a single number. It's ugly. It's aesthetically unpleasing. I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? It's this big old guy with a 5 on. You know what I'm saying? Imagine a 5 on my belly. It just wouldn't look good, Tom. It wouldn't look good at all. A 5. Give me a double number. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I remember when people thought it was super weird when what did Keyshawn, was Keyshawn 17? Is that what
17?
17? And I know, he wasn't the first one to do it, but I feel like that was more normal back in the 60s, 70s for guys to wear it was I feel like that there was a 20-year period where it was you play receiver, tight end, you wear 80 to 89. That's just how it is.
Right.
And, Keyshawn did that and everyone thought it was weird. And now nobody thinks twice, right? It's not a big deal. And I don't know. I get the idea that it helps you identify, this guy's a linebacker, this guy's but I mean, we're diehards, right? Who everybody is. You could look at, You can see some dudes. You can see Micah's silhouette, and you'd be like, "That's Micah Parsons." Like you don't need the jersey number.
That's Micah. Now, if Micah changes to 0, I'm like, hey, it's not so bad.
Hey, I'm sure Jerry likes it. I bet you anything, Jerry likes it when the Stars, change jersey numbers because then the diehards got to go out and buy the new one.
Buy a whole new thing. Speaking of which, they had Zeke's jerseys on clearance at the Dallas Cowboy Pro Shop. I was like, man, they moving.
Now that hurts. Now that hurts.
Yeah, they're moving way too fast. I mean, I get
clearance, don't just. I don't know. Spin it some other kind of way. Like, just be like, hey, in honor of Ezekiel Elliott, we're wanting to, put 10,000 Ezekiel Elliott jerseys on kids' back across Dallas, like, or whatever, something like that.
Well, at least they didn't just go give them to the Salvation Army. I mean, come on, man.
Don't put the word clearance in the same sentence. Like, don't do that. Like, come on.
I mean, it's a little too fast. It's a little too fast for me. It's a little too fast. So I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboy talent across the board. We're thick in the secondary. I think we're good at safety. We're definitely really diesel at safety. Like we said, we're diesel at defensive end. Now I think we may be a little light at linebacker and defensive tackle. So let's talk about this. Do we actually draft a cornerback this year? Or do we need to get another cornerback? Because it looks like we're going to hold on to Jordan Lewis.
So are we saying at all, or are we saying like first pick?
No, I'm saying at all. Should we draft a cornerback in this year's draft?
So I think once you start getting to the 5th round, that it's BPA, it's best player available all the way. Unless it's like, hey, here's a position of need, and we just really think that we had a 2nd round grade on this guy, and somehow he's fallen to the 5th round. There's those exceptional, cases. Maybe once a draft, type things where somebody's got, the inside scoop on some player or something like that. But aside from that, I feel like once you get to, maybe 4th, but definitely 5th, you're just drafting best player available.
Let's talk to it. So we got Jordan Lewis. We got Deron Bland. We got Stephon Gilmore. We got Trayvon Diggs. We got CJ Goodwin.
Yeah, so we're just talking corners right now, right?
Just talking corners.
Kelvin Joseph.
Kelvin Joseph, unfortunately. And then we got Nashawn Wright.
Yeah.
So we're thick at corner, but we're thin because Kelvin Joseph, he's proved that he can't cover on that island. He can't do it. I'm not saying anything against him. It's the truth. His play proved it. CJ Goodwin's a special teams guy, right? So literally, you really only have Deron Bland, Nashawn Wright, Jordan Lewis, Stephon Gilmore, and Trayvon Diggs. You got 5, and you can use at 5. You use those in 2 different plays. You need more than that, right? So I think like you were said to your point, you need to definitely draft a cornerback and put him in this room. You need to go ahead, draft, or pick up through free agency another cornerback and put him in this room.
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with what you're saying. I just don't think that you have to go into the draft saying we have to draft a corner. It's just like you get to the latter half of the draft. If you haven't taken one, if there wasn't some guy you were just in love with first 3 or 4 rounds of the draft, you get into the latter half of the draft and you just kind of know, oh, okay, we've got 3 or 4 picks left. We're taking best player available. Cornerback is such a valuable position. Like, you're going to draft a corner. It's just that they're going to get one in the draft somewhere. So I don't think it's a must-have. I feel like it's the strength of this, it's one of the 2 biggest strengths of the team. And that's, secondary and, the pass rush.
Okay.
So
we got the.
I mean, we're gonna get one, and I think that we should. But it's not a must have, for me. Although we do need to think about this Stephon Gilmore, this is a short-term solution. So we need to, one of these guys that we're saying isn't so great. I'm kind of hoping one of them comes along. Maybe
I think it's Nashawn Wright. You don't like it like I do, but I'm gonna tell you, I think it's Nashawn Wright. He actually stopped the bleeding. He was the tourniquet. Now, did he whether he's the solution, whether he's the staples? No, he was definitely. But I mean, it's year one. I mean, he had an opportunity to kind of come in, get his legs out from under him. He wasn't DeRon Bland. He wasn't DeRon Bland. DeRon Bland is that guy. You know what I'm saying? He's that guy. Well, I think he's going to play himself. Go ahead.
Here's how I would put it. I think that Nashawn Wright, sometimes the guy who has a better chance of being your fifth corner isn't the guy who has a better chance of being a starting caliber corner in the NFL. And so I think Nashawn Wright, I think that his floor is probably higher than Kelvin Joseph, but I don't see him as a starting cornerback in the league. And I kind of like the idea of I could see the Cowboys saying, Nashawn, we actually, we drafted a corner and we actually think you're a little further along than Kelvin Joseph and you're a little more reliable at this point. But the chances of you getting meaningful snaps this season are so low that we're going to give the roster spot to Kelvin Joseph, somebody who we think actually has the talent and the tools to possibly be a starting caliber cornerback in the NFL. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but sometimes that's the call that you make, right? Is you say, this guy isn't as good as this other guy, but he's got more tools and we think he's got the higher ceiling. It's like, why do you
let him go outside and start my truck if it was cold? He's not starting anything for me. Boss man,
hey man, he's got the tools, man. He does. He's probably not. He's probably going to be. I think there's a very good chance they cut him, and
he got rusty tools, Tom. Them are rusty tools. He might got some tools, but they rusty.
Yeah, I don't think the chances are good that he turns into a starting cornerback in this league. Like, I don't think so. But I don't think there's a good chance that Nashawn does either. I think he's got a better chance.
He got a better chance than he showed. He had a better chance in this system than Kelvin Joseph. I mean, Kelvin Joseph was just, if you go in the bathroom and you wipe around the ring of the toilet, that was Kelvin Joseph.
Nashawn is a better tourniquet. That's the word you use, and I agree with it. He's a better tourniquet.
Yes,
I agree.
Yes.
I agree with that.
He stopped the bleeding. I mean,
but he's not going to be a starting. He's not going to be a starting cornerback. I don't think. But anyway,
look, DeRon. He has to beat out DeRon Bland to do that, and he's not better than DeRon Bland. DeRon Bland is a real deal. He's the real deal, and we'll see that again more this year, as he's got two of the best starting corners out here.
Yeah.
So where do you go if you're a defense? You don't challenge Stephon Diggs. You don't Stephon Gilmore or Trayvon Diggs. Those are not the guys you challenge. You challenge in underneath and in the middle. You know what I'm saying? You challenge your fourth cornerback. You go at him. And if you go at DeRon Bland too much, he's going to take one of them back to the house. If you go at Jordan Lewis too much, he's going to take one of them to the house. Both of them are those type of players. So, I don't know. I think we draft one late. But you can find one as the guy from Maryland, the quarterback from Maryland. I think that'll be there around 4 or 5, around the 4th or the 5th round. And that would be a guy I'd be looking at, definitely.
That sounds about right to me, looking at one in the 4th or 5th round. Like, that's kind of how I see this draft playing out.
Or maybe even Julius Brents in the 3rd round. Brents will be there in the 2nd or the 3rd. Maybe him. I don't know if he'll go over there.
It's possible.
Yeah. I don't know. I know we need to get one.
Because he'd have to fall all the way to the end of the 3rd round for us to get him. And I mean, there's, in some mocks, he's going middle of the 2nd. So, you never know. He can fall.
Know. When teams start getting on their big board, some teams, I don't know what they're thinking. I'm just like, what's going on in your mind? Like, What is it that's going on in your mind?
We talking offense, or are we just talking defense right now? Is that all we're on right now?
Defense, and I'm gonna leave with definitely the owners. This is my party. The owners are in Arizona. They're talking about some things, There's going to be some moves made this week. It's just going to be slow. There's going to be some slow moves made. But I'm going to tell you, we're already a month out from the draft. So there's going to be more deals made all the way up until the draft. And I don't think it slows down. So I would keep my eyes open. I keep your ears peeled. Make sure that you're listening to the We Are DC4L podcast so you can get your news there, man, because we definitely going to stay on top of it. Tom?
Yeah, parting shot. Is that where we're at?
That's where we're at.
Yeah. Dirk Nowitzki, first ballot Hall of Famer. I guess it was. So I'm 36. I'll be 37 this August. I have vivid memories, of them drafting me. I think it was 98, 99, something like that. And so I was around, 12, 13 years old. And just that's kind of the age where, like you got your, before then you got your trading cards, maybe you got your trading cards, maybe you watch Sports Center here or there, and I know that there are diehards, before then. But for me, it was like I followed sports, but I wouldn't necessarily sit down and watch a 3-hour Cowboy game whenever I was 8 years old. But when they drafted Dirk, that kind of I started paying very close attention to the Mavericks. And so watching him for, 20 years, I was just one of the – just feel very privileged to have watched him play basketball and just super happy to watch him go into the Hall of Fame. I'm not so happy that he's going to go in with Dwayne Wade. I wish that they had put them in separate classes. But yeah, shout out to Dirk and Mavs fans out there.
Shout out to Dirk, Big Dirk. But look, we want to make sure that you rock with us next week. Make sure you stay on the lookout for our podcast that we have in between. For myself and for Tom, we will holler at you guys later. Peace.